A chilling wind howled across the vast, white emptiness of the Arctic, carrying with it a whisper of something unseen, something waiting in the distance. The ice stretched endlessly in every direction, a frozen world of silence and secrets. And in the middle of it all, I stood alone. Stay with me till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you love incredible wildlife stories like this. I was just a cub, barely old enough to understand what survival meant, but the aching emptiness in my belly told me one thing. I needed to keep moving. The snow beneath my paws was soft in some places, hardened in others, but it all looked the same. A never-ending, frozen wasteland. Where was she? I stopped and lifted my nose, sniffing the sharp air, hoping, praying, to catch her scent, the scent of my mother. But all I could smell was the cold. I couldn't remember how long it had been since she vanished. One moment. She was there, her massive frame shielding me from the wind, her warmth pressing against me in the long, endless night. The next, she was gone. The blizzard had come out of nowhere, swallowing everything in a blinding white chaos. I had tried to stay close, but the storm had pushed me back, buried me under thick snow, and when I had finally clawed my way out, she was nowhere to be seen. For a while, I had stayed in the same spot, expecting her to return, waiting like a fool. But hunger had driven me forward. My tiny paws, and used to walking such long distances, had carried me across the ice, and every step felt heavier than the last. And now I was lost. A sound. I froze. My ears twitched. It was distant, muffled by the wind, but it was there. Something shifting, something alive. I wasn't alone. I turned my head, scanning the ice, my heart pounding. The wind picked up again, stirring the snow in restless swirls. My mind screamed at me to run, but my body refused to move. Was it her? No. A shadow appeared in the distance, dark against the whiteness. It was moving toward me. My breath hitched. My instincts screamed that I should flee, but my legs were trembling too hard to obey. The figure grew larger, and then something in my chest twisted painfully. It wasn't a polar bear. It was something else. Something that shouldn't be here. The shadow loomed closer, cutting through the swirling snow like a silent predator. My breath came in sharp, panic gasps. Every fiber of my being screamed at me to run, but my legs wouldn't move. The Arctic had taught me one thing. If something approached you without fear, it wasn't friendly. I forced my paws to inch backward, my body shaking, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. Then, through the haze of white, I saw it. A wolf. But not just any wolf. This one was different. Its fur wasn't the usual thick gray or white like the Arctic wolves I had seen trailing the distant caribou herds. No, this one was jet black. A shadow against the snow. A thing that shouldn't exist in this frozen wasteland. Its yellow eyes locked onto mine, unblinking. It wasn't running toward me. It was stalking, step by step, slow and deliberate, like it already knew the outcome of this encounter. I wanted to believe I was safe. That wolves didn't hunt polar bears. But I was just a cub. Small, weak, alone. The wolf knew that. I turned sharply, forcing my numb legs to move. But the moment I did, the ice beneath me let out a low, deep groan. Crack! I froze mid-step. The sound sent a shiver through my spine. Worse than the wind. Worse than the hunger. The ice was thin. The wolf stopped too. Its ears perked, and for the first time, its confident stance shifted. I wasn't the only one in danger. Another crack split the air, louder this time, jagged like lightning ripping through the sky. I felt my stomach drop. The ice wasn't just thin. It was breaking. A large, dark fissure snaked beneath my paws, widening every second. My pulse thundered in my ears. If I moved too fast, I'd plunge into the freezing water. If I stayed still, the ice would collapse under my weight. And the wolf. I snapped my head up. It was gone. A flicker of movement in my peripheral vision made me twist around. The wolf was no longer on the ice. It was on solid ground, watching, waiting. It knew. It had led me here on purpose. A sharp jolt beneath my paws made me stumble, and before I could react, the ice shattered. I plunged into the freezing abyss. The cold hit me like 1,000 knives, stabbing into my skin, stealing my breath. I clawed at the water, but my fur was soaked through instantly, dragging me down like an anchor. My vision blurred. The world above turned into a distorted swirl of white and gray. I tried to kick, tried to push upward, but the current below was strong. It pulled me deeper, dragging me into the dark unknown beneath the ice. And then something grabbed me. Not water, not ice, something alive. A force ripped me downward. I barely had time to scream before the Arctic swallowed me whole. The icy darkness closed around me, squeezing my lungs, stealing my breath. My limbs flailed, but it was useless. Something was pulling me down. The deeper I sank, the colder it became, the shadows swallowing the last flickers of light from above. I twisted, trying to see through the black water. My heart pounded in my chest. What was dragging me? Then, in the murky depths, I saw it. Eyes. Not one pair. Many, glowing in the darkness, shifting, moving. Shapes slithered through the water, circling me. Huge, powerful bodies, barely visible against the blackness. Seals? No. Too big. Too fast. A new terror wrapped around me like the freezing water itself. These weren't seals. These were orcas. I thrashed harder, but their grip on the water was stronger than mine. A massive shape brushed past me, its smooth skin grazing my fur before vanishing. Another loomed from the darkness, a white patch flashing near its eye. Orcas were the undisputed hunters of the Arctic waters. Even adult polar bears knew better than to challenge them. And I was just a cub. I felt a powerful whoosh, a shift in the water, and suddenly one of them charged straight at me. I barely had time to react before something slammed into my side, sending me spinning through the freezing void. My lungs burned. My head ached. I was running out of air. The orca circled back, faster this time, its massive jaws parting. No, no, no. Then from above, a shadow. Something else plunged into the water. Something big. I didn't have time to process what was before I felt teeth clamp onto my scruff. Sharp, piercing, but they weren't biting to kill. They were pulling me up. The water churned as the orca veered away, its black and white body disappearing into the abyss. Whatever had grabbed me was fighting against the current, dragging me toward the light above. The freezing grip of the ocean loosened. My head broke through the surface, and I gasped, coughing up seawater, my body convulsing from the cold. I was back in the open air. The ice was close. And then I saw who had saved me. It wasn't my mother. It was another polar bear, a massive, battle-scarred male. His teeth still held onto my scruff, his powerful limbs kicking against the water as he heaved me toward the ice. With a final, brutal push, he tossed me onto frozen surface, my soaked fur slamming against the cold ground. I lay there, gasping, shivering, my mind spinning. I turned my head just in time to see the male haul himself up after me, his thick fur drenched, seawater dripping from his powerful form. I should have felt relief. I didn't, because something in his eyes told me one thing. He hadn't saved me out of kindness. The male bear stood over me, his massive form blocking the wind, his fur dripping with seawater. His eyes, cold, calculating, bored into mine. He wasn't my savior. He was deciding something. I forced my trembling legs beneath me, struggling to stand. My soaked fur clung to my body, making me feel smaller, weaker. The ice beneath me felt solid, but after what had just happened, I didn't trust it. I didn't trust him, either. For a long moment, neither of us moved. The only sound was the wind and the distant groaning of the shifting ice. My instinct screamed at me to run, but I knew the truth. There was nowhere to go. His eyes flickered over me, assessing. His muscles tensed. Then he lunged. I barely managed to scramble backward before his paw slammed into the ice where I had just been. My heart exploded in panic. He wasn't here to protect me. He was here because I was an easy target. A lone cub, weak, starving, far from its mother. To him, I was nothing but a meal. I turned and bolted, my claws skidding against the ice, my soak fur making me heavier than ever. My body screamed in exhaustion, but the sound of his powerful paws thundering behind me kept me moving. He was faster. I could hear his heavy breathing, his growl rolling through the frozen air like a death sentence. He wasn't playing. He was hunting, and I was his prey. The ice stretched endlessly ahead of me, nowhere to hide, nowhere to escape. My lungs burned, my legs ached, but I couldn't stop. If I stopped, I would die. A shadow loomed over me. He was too close. Then something snapped beneath my paws. Another crack. The ice was breaking again. But this time it wasn't thin ice. This was something bigger, something worse. A deep, thunderous roar erupted from beneath us, and in an instant, the entire ice sheet collapsed. I felt myself plunge down again, but this time I wasn't just falling into water. I was falling into a cavern of ice. The ice had been hollow underneath, a hidden cave carved by the shifting currents below. I tumbled through the air, hitting jagged, frozen walls before slamming onto a sloped surface, sliding deeper into the unknown. The world blurred around me, my body twisting, rolling, the cold stabbing into my bones. Above me, the male bear had fallen too. He roared, trying to claw at the edges, but the ice was too unstable. The ground beneath me finally leveled out, and I came to a crashing stop. My body screamed in pain, my vision spinning. The light from above was faint, almost non-existent. I was trapped. For a moment, silence filled the frozen cavern. The only thing I could hear was my own ragged breathing. Then, a low, rumbling growl echoed through the ice. My blood ran cold. That sound didn't come from him. Something else was down here. Something waiting in the dark. The growl rumbled through the ice, deep and slow, vibrating to the cavern walls. My breath hitched. I could feel it. Something else was down here, and it wasn't alone. I forced myself onto shaky legs, my paws slipping on the ice beneath me. The dim light from the fractured ceiling barely reached down here, but in the shadows, I saw it. Movement. The male bear, my would-be killer, was still higher up, sprawled on a jagged ledge, groaning as he tried to lift himself. He was bleeding. The fall had hurt him. But something else had been waiting for us. The growl came again, closer this time. Then, from the darkness, they appeared, wolves. Not just one, an entire pack. Their eyes glowed in the faint light, their fur blending into the icy shadows, their breath rising in misty clouds. But these weren't Arctic wolves. No, their coats were jet black, like the lone one I had seen before, the one that had lured me to the thin ice on purpose. My heart stopped. It had all been a trap. I hadn't just been running for survival. I had been herded. A shuffling sound from above made me snap my head up. The male bear was now fully awake, his breathing labored. His eyes locked onto the wolves below. And for the first time, I saw something new in them. Fear. The pack didn't attack immediately. They were patient, calculating. They spread out, blocking every possible escape, their paws silent against the frozen ground. They had done this before. They had hunted bears before. The male bear let out a deep snarl, pushing himself up to full height. He was massive, larger than all of them combined, but the wolves didn't flinch. They knew something he didn't. I knew it, too. Numbers always win. The largest wolf stepped forward, its breath misting in the air. Its black coat was sleek, almost unnatural in this icy wasteland. Its yellow eyes locked onto mine for just a second. Then it turned its gaze to the wounded male. That was when I realized the truth. I wasn't their target. He was. One wolf moved first, then another, then the entire pack lunged. The cavern erupted into chaos. The male roared, swiping with his massive paws, sending wolves flying against the ice. Their yelps echoed to the cavern, but more kept coming. They latched onto his legs, his neck, his back, their fangs sinking deep. Blood splattered across the frozen ground. The scent hit my nose, thick, sharp, metallic. He thrashed, sending bodies crashing into walls. But he was already weak from the fall, from the chase, from hunger. And I just stood there, watching. The same bear who had tried to kill me was now dying in front of me. The pack worked with terrifying precision, dragging him down, 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 until his roars turned to ragged breaths, until the struggle stopped. Then silence. The black wolf lifted its head, blood dripping from its fangs. The pack turned to me. My chest tightened. Was this it? Had they led me here just to finish me off? Then something I never expected happened. The black wolf stepped aside, and the pack followed. They parted just enough to make a path. A way out. I stood there, my legs trembling. My mind screamed that this had to be a trick, a test, but I had no other choice. Slowly, cautiously, I moved forward, and the wolves let me pass. As I stepped through their ranks, the black wolf held my gaze one last time. There was no malice in its eyes, no hunger, just understanding. Then, without a sound, they vanished into the darkness, leaving behind only the cold and the body of the bear who had tried to kill me. I looked up at the opening in the cavern ceiling. Light from the surface flickered above. The way out was there, waiting, and I was still alive. I took one last breath, then started climbing.